Welcome, DeFi Degens and Airdrop Aeronauts. We're gonna have to come up with a name for your peeps.
Yeah.
But I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and this is Jeff, aka the Blockchain Report. Appreciate y'all showing up this afternoon. I know we're a little bit early. We usually do this at 5 p.m., but we have some things we need to do later on this afternoon, so decided to kick it off a little bit early. But we have an exciting episode, and we're going to talk about a potential big deal. It's going to be a Bitcoin, native Bitcoin, on chain DeFi play. So we'll get into that here in a minute. But how's it going, brother? How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Well, hopefully better. I got and kind of a last minute appointment this evening, so I gotta hopefully fingers crossed. I had an injury back in 2008. I broke my leg, and I have two screws at the bottom of my fibula, right at the
Mhm.
ankle, and I'm having some pain and inflammation that I haven't been able to quite fix, and I'm concerned that it might be a serious issue. So I'm getting it checked out. And my dad always said, I'm not taking you to the hospital unless something's fallen off. And in this case, it's getting to that point to where it hurts to walk. So I'm like, okay, I need to get this checked out. But other than that, I try and fix everything myself as much as possible. But hate going to the doctor. But listen to your body sometimes because you just never know.
So,
But
so
other than
you
that, man, I'm doing. You what?
so you might say that you have a screwed up leg.
Hey, screwed up leg. or a couple, or a couple
I,
of
I,
screws
I
loose.
couldn't find the badum thump, so I used that one instead.
Oh
So
man, we got a bunch of comedians. How are you doing, Mike?
I
How's
know,
everything going for
sorry,
you?
I couldn't resist. Yeah, no, I got all kinds of stuff wrong with me from military service, just jumping out of planes and all the all the physical stuff that happens when you're in the military and going to war and stuff like that. So no,
Hmm.
definitely you definitely want to take care of your body. I know that my lady is huge into clean eating and fitness and stuff like that, and she's definitely helping me get a lot better at it. As far as eliminating a lot of the preservatives and additives and just overall eating healthy, exercising, getting sun. But yeah, I highly suggest people out there take care of your body. I mean, it's you might think that small injuries that you're getting now aren't that big of a deal, but I'll tell you, all the small injuries that I thought I bounced back from in my 20s and 30s, I'm about to turn 51, and I feel every single one of them. So take care of yourself. You only get one body. Surgery can only do so much. But quick shout out before I kick it over to Jeff for socials and an update on our channel wallet. Just want to give a shout out to those of you in the chat. Cherrywell, food is life. If you're not following him, he has a cooking channel that he's starting back up
Oh yeah.
on YouTube. So some good stuff there. Hey Falco, how's it going? Deadwood, appreciate y'all showing up. Looks like we got some people trickling in on X. If you want to join the chat, please by all means come on over to YouTube. Would love to see you over here and answer some of your questions. But
Yes. Yeah.
you want to take it, Jeff?
Yeah. Let me
Nick
pop my
Dunn just
screen.
moved in. What up, Nick?
Oh, what up, Nick? Now we appreciate everyone for joining us this afternoon, and here at DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, where we go live usually Monday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and Saturdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And Vet is starting to go live with a law expert, a lawyer, and a financial advisor or financial expert every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm trying to get that right.
I know.
um,
I'm still
and
kind of
it,
getting to it.
so we're trying to bring all kinds of experience from TradFi to DeFi and law, and what we're trying to
So,
just bring you all kinds of good
well,
advice to
the
help
big
mesh everything together.
Well, the big takeaway from that show is, I mean, of course, we talk about DeFi and crypto and airdrops here, and how you can make money doing this, but that's just the first part of the journey. I mean, you can look at the statistics. People that make a lot of money fast, win lotteries and stuff like that. Usually, a couple of years later, they're broke. It's because they don't know how to manage it and how to protect it. They Did you freeze up?
Nope, I'm
Oh,
here. Oh yeah,
um,
you're good.
yeah, you just weren't moving. I thought maybe
Oh,
I
no.
froze it. So, it's all about my brother Taylor, is a lawyer, owns a couple law firms and a real estate title company, and he is great in his law firm is estate law. So he knows how to use trusts and legal documents to protect your assets from legal liabilities, from taxes, things like that. Jeff, Texas Jeff, he is a licensed financial advisor. He's been doing it for decades. And so, the three of us together, we talk about it from, our different, viewpoints or expertise on how not just to make money, but how to make your money make money and how to protect that money from both the government taking it from you through taxes and, potentially, when you die, having to pay out a bunch in inheritance taxes and, all that, sort of thing that, you have to go through. So it's just really good stuff. Sorry. Just wanted to, kind of give a little background on
Oh
that.
yeah, no, it's great to because if people don't know, they can miss on some really great information. Um, so you can follow our brother channels: Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, BitLab, our DCA Consortium, and me at the Blockchain Report. Cover the news, more degen stuff, trading. We just want to build a great community of people. Also, our Discord. Oh, first, you can catch us on Twitter at the_only_DCA. And you can catch Veteran for Crypto, and me at the BCR142. Make sure you're following the right accounts. We will not DM you for financial advice or to ask you for money. So anyone that does is a scammer.
I,
And
I, I might
also,
D,
let me.
I might DM you and ask for financial advice.
Oh, you can DM me.
Yeah, yeah. I need some financial advice.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of Plume, man, that just bumped recently. But we have a Discord right here. Our DeFi Crypto and Airdrops Discord is a little more degen. But we do have DeFi channels and all the tracking sheets and stuff that Vet is using in all his videos, checklists, strategies, just
Mhm.
kind of plug and play, and you can modify it however you feel. Whatever your investment needs. And we got some airdrop stuff too. And then we have the
Well,
Discover.
and a
Oh,
quick shout out on the DIG Discover Investment Group Discord. Starting tomorrow, me and BTC Boomer and TJ are going to start hosting a weekly um, mastermind group, basically just talking about DeFi. So, TJ over at Discover Crypto, the owner over there, his dad, Tim, and myself will be hosting that. We won't all be in there all the time, but um, we're going to be, co-hosting it. So it's basically just going to be a round table where anyone and everybody, if you're new, if you're a veteran of DeFi, where you can come in there and you can teach, you can learn, just discuss DeFi and and just kind of learn and grow together because that's the key to DeFi is finding a good group that isn't shilling, that isn't trying to take advantage, or charging you a bunch of money for courses and not bringing value. So this is just going to
mhm.
be, just kind of a small group of people that is, going to help each other be successful.
Yeah. And there's other channels that are a little more premium access, but they have access to everyone at Discover Crypto and their portfolios and trading channels and stuff. So shout out to them. And a little update on a couple of the test nets. Um, I don't know where we're at rankings with this Matrix AI, this stable coin for AI projects or AI agents. Um, but we've been doing this, claiming our testnet tokens and staking them to earn pills, these red pills. So hopefully,
Getting red pilled.
yeah. This Pharos testnet, they just launched a campaign with OKX wallet where you use your OKX wallet to do these token swaps, provide liquidity, and sending tokens on the testnet. We're close to level 4.
Sorry. Deadwood said he finally got his plume bags and some money ready to launch for some plume yield.
Hell
Congratulations,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah, you're picking a good time, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so this Pharos, it just launched this 30-day campaign with OKX. And since then, I've been using the wallet to get these boosters and stuff. And there's like NFT mints, but there's no real leaderboard for this one. But as long as we get to level 4, I guess that's good. That Ducat Bitcoin stablecoin DeFi play that we covered a few weeks ago.
I keep
So
wanting to call
far,
that Duhast.
Duhast, yeah,
Duhast.
Duhast
Duhast
coin.
mesh.
So we're ranked in the top 5,000 right now. So I'm doing this, a couple of rounds because you have to deposit, borrow, repay, and withdraw. So I'm doing a couple of these a day because it is like a pain in the ass waiting for the transaction sometimes on the Bitcoin test nets. But this Ducat and the OP net that we're going to dive into, which you get points by performing certain transactions on the Bitcoin testnet. But up until now, the Bitcoin testnet projects have been really painful to interact with. Just very slow. You can't get testnet tokens for transaction fees, but now it's been a lot easier. I don't know what has happened, but I'm happy to see because I've never actually gotten an airdrop from a Bitcoin testnet yet. So I'm kind of excited to see how this goes because the Ethereum, like the EVM space with all the layer twos, gotten a bunch of airdrops, but nothing in the Bitcoin space as of yet. So I'm really
This,
excited
this
for
potentially could
this.
be really big because
Yeah, yeah.
Bitcoin doesn't have really have a DeFi ecosystem. Pretty much
Mm-mm.
all anything that you can do with Bitcoin, none of it is native to the Bitcoin chain. You have Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin that's on Base Network, and you have some other ones, some wrapped Bitcoin that's out there. But it's important to understand before we start talking about this the difference between native Bitcoin and basically wrapped versions of Bitcoin, which are what I just mentioned, where they're representations of
Mm.
actual Bitcoin. And often they're backed by actual Bitcoin, but that there is a huge difference. So it's important to understand that before we start talking about this. This isn't just, another project that is going to do something with Bitcoin, like Coinbase wrap Bitcoin or wrap Bitcoin. They're actually building this out on chain on Bitcoin. So I just wanted to preface this conversation with that.
Yeah, and that's it for the testnet wallet update. But did you have anything you wanted to get into before we jump into
Uh,
the Bitcoin stuff or
well,
Plume? I did want to ask if there was any news on Plume because I saw that you posted earlier. Um,
there's always news on Plume. Yeah, let
but
me
it
let
had
me
a nice little pump. And it was why did XRP get a little pump? Nick Dunn.
So
Oh
anybody
no.
that is, let's go to Bloomberg News.
Bloomberg News. Let me
There
pull
we
this
go.
up. Yes.
All right. So let me do this.
Oh yeah.
All right. So anybody that's curious about Plume, this is plume.org/blog. You can get there from just the main Plume site. So pretty much, I mean, Plume is very organized, very clean, and they are great at releasing new info and multiple times a day. It used to be like once or twice a day. Now it's like 5, 10 times a day. They are releasing news about new partners, new people that are building. I mean, you name it. They moved into the Empire State Building. That's their new New York headquarters. There's just a lot going on with Plume. Um, and so I mean that it's there's very few projects out there that I've seen that has the activity, on chain and in the community, and what is being built out on it. There's over 200 dApps being built on Plume currently. So there's not a whole lot of projects out there that have this kind of momentum, and we haven't seen hardly any price action yet. I mean, for me, I see this as an opportunity. That's why I have my 3 Plume pools that I am
Mm.
earning free Plume on that are currently at 190% APR. Um, so, I mean, if you're thinking about getting into Plume, I'm not saying ape in. I'm not trying to shill you. But if you are thinking already, or it is a project that you're interested in, maybe get a couple $100 worth, or get a little bit of it. Start a DeFi pool. Do a full range pool to where you don't have to worry about the price, and let it grow. Put a little bit of money in it and let it grow. See what it does. I do not see Plume going anywhere. I mean, it's backed by BlackRock. It's backed by a lot of heavy hitters. Coinbase. There's a lot of heavy hitters behind it. So
Follow the money, the smart
yeah,
money.
yeah,
That's that's why I can't believe these propagandists like Rachel Maddow talking about Bitcoin and just putting out bullshit. First of all, you're going to say, "Oh, I don't know anything about this crypto stuff," and then you're going to say, "Oh, it's an old-fashioned scam." Like, how is that helping? Just whatever your reason is, why
just all the news. They get, it's like Anchorman. I mean, they kind of spoofed on it, but whatever's on the teleprompter, they get paid. They're a parrot. They get paid to
Yeah.
say what comes across the screen, and they all get their news from the same place, the Associated Press, and they just regurgitate it. So I do not listen to the news. It's
Mm-hmm.
misdirection. I mean, it takes a lot of work, but you have to go out there and find the truth for yourself. If you're looking to get spoon fed, you're gonna move and think like the masses. You have to act as an individual, or if you want to live like an individual. If you want to have what everyone else has, think what everyone else thinks, and do what and say what everybody else does. Do what everybody else is doing. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Don't follow the herd. So, we ready to dive into OPNet?
Let's do this, brother.
Right down. Okay, so and this is awesome because we really need more integration with the Bitcoin network, more use case and functionality, and allowing smart contracts to be built natively on the network and not just some layer two, because there are some layer twos. I think Botanics is one, but it's not native to the Bitcoin network. So this is good to see, and it's interesting because you can dive into the documents and they say how it's built directly on the Bitcoin network. Because one thing I worry about is the speed and like transaction times taking 10 minutes for
And
a block to
Yeah,
confirm.
I've heard that, and that's why they came up with the Lightning Network that was supposed to speed up transactions. And I won't pretend to know how that works. And I've also heard that gas can be pretty expensive on Bitcoin, which I have no experience with.
Yeah.
I own zero Bitcoin, and I've never tried to move value on the Bitcoin mainnet.
Yeah. I've spent, you know, 10, 15 bucks on a transaction on like a slow day.
Damn,
So yeah, it makes Ethereum look cheap. Like
yeah,
so
that's
if that's
rough.
anything. But
I
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, maybe maybe just like with Ethereum, maybe that there'll be a layer 2 or something that comes along to help speed up and make gas cheaper on Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this, these different ways to interact with the blockchain, and because it's the reason why the transactions are so high or the fees are so high is because of the speed of the network. You can't get transactions through fast enough, so it spikes the gas fees. But if you can find a way, like here, this P2OP, pay to OP net, a new Bitcoin address type that's used to store and reference smart contracts. If you can find a way to have these smart contracts interact with the Bitcoin network more efficiently and can speed them up, I mean, you're going to pay, pennies on the dollar compared to now. So it's really awesome to see this stuff being built out. This it leverages native Bitcoin transactions and this SegWit, segregated witness outputs, for transactions. Just different ways of utilizing the blockchain to, because you really can't fit more transactions in a single block on the Bitcoin network, right? Because you would have to put a proposal to increase the block size and all this stuff. So it's really difficult to work with the existing infrastructure. That's why a lot of people haven't really been able to crack this layer 2 on Bitcoin, like, until recently. I think with the Bitcoin ordinals, right? I believe that's when they really were able to write these inscriptions on Bitcoin or on little Satoshis.
Well, that
And
opened the door. Well, I mean,
yeah.
those inscriptions opened the door for a lot of things, and this project actually opens the door for smart contracts.
Hmm.
On Bitcoin, and those of you that don't understand, what that means, which most people don't. But smart contracts is what makes DeFi possible. So back in the day, when there was just Bitcoin, that's what spawned Ethereum. XRP was out there, Bitcoin was out there. Vitalik Buterin actually worked at Ripple as an intern and was smart enough to understand that neither one of these projects had smart contracts and saw the potential for it. So he started Ethereum, which on chain had smart contracts, and that's why Ethereum is the DeFi powerhouse that it is right now, is because it was the first one to offer smart contracts. Now,
Hmm.
Bitcoin, and XRP and other projects have had to have layer 2s to add this functionality. So, so yeah, it's interesting to watch how all of this has evolved, but it is a huge opportunity for us because we're so early to to these to crypto and DeFi and these projects, that there's an opportunity for us to get in early and profit from this. And one thing, I'm sorry, I was a little distracted, but I don't know if you mentioned, this project does not have a token.
Oh yeah, I haven't mentioned that yet. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, it does not have a token yet. And that's why we'll get into that fun stuff and how to participate in the test net, because it is incentivized which is nice. And I think we got the landscapers out here blowing. Do you hear them?
Yeah, it's all right. Keep going.
Hold on.
Hey, Dixie.
From Bro. What up, Dixie? Yeah, thanks for joining us. Here, I'll But yeah,
Just
smart contracts are really important. They are the foundation to help facilitate transactions on the blockchain. And Bitcoin didn't really have smart contract capability with the way it was built out. So having that natively, and a lot of Bitcoin maxis are kind of resistant to this, but you can't stop innovation, and as long as it doesn't destroy the current fundamentals or architecture of the Bitcoin blockchain, it's not going to move to proof of stake. That's for sure.
Well, one cool thing about this project is that it is a layer one, so
Yeah.
it's not a layer two, and there's no need for a layer two, or there is no need for bridges. And if you've been in crypto for a while, you know that there's a lot of issues with bridges because of exploits and things like that, and bridges being hacked. So this is a much more secure addition to the Bitcoin mainnet than a layer two, that again requires bridges and things like that.
You know what this it's kind of like a cousin to layer zero. You got layer zero. Layer zero is like a messaging protocol. It's not necessarily a smart contract deployer, but layer zero allows all these blockchains to send messages back and forth. So OPNet is kind of like that on Bitcoin, but with smart contract. Hey, kind of like a cousin to it. You can build. It is its own network because layer zero isn't like a blockchain network per se, but OPNet is like a layer one. But yeah, it's really cool to see this and actually being
Ooh, I just thought of
able to
something.
work. What's that?
Is technically locked on that chain. Without without bridging and the ability to do a lot, to bridge that liquidity and things like that. So this is actually going to tap into that. So
Mm-hmm.
by building out a DeFi ecosystem natively on the Bitcoin mainnet, it's allow that all of that liquidity to be put to work, whereas before it for the most part was just basically buy and hodl. That's what you did with Bitcoin. There's nothing else you really could do with it. Is there's not
Mm-hmm.
a ton of staking. You could lend it in DeFi and earn a couple of percent of yield per year or something like that, but not a whole lot you could do with it. This potentially, and again, I don't want to sound like we're shilling this. None of the things that we cover like this, in no way whatsoever have we talked to these people. We're not
Mm-hmm.
accepting money from them. We're not accepting token. This one doesn't have a token, but we don't accept tokens. We do all of this 100% free. We're all about integrity. I just want people to understand that the excitement that we're showing for this is genuine. It
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do with self gain, or we're not promoting our bags because it doesn't have a token. We can't buy it and shill it. So
No. No, and I'm actually participating in the test net, and we'll dive into that. But yeah, see, OPNet, it weaves the smart contracts directly into the Bitcoin's layer one. So think of your spine being the Bitcoin network, and then all the nerves coming out are smart contracts to the OPNet
there you go.
applications. There you
Yeah.
go. Your organs are different applications, and this allows you to interact with the spine.
I kind of wonder how this is going to integrate with, because Cardano and Plume both announced native Bitcoin on their chains. I'm kind of, and it's well beyond my, my knowledge, but I'd be curious to talk to somebody and find out how all of this meshes. It's almost like
Hmm.
people are trying to unlock the liquidity that's up until recently been locked into Bitcoin, and allow people to not just hodl the Bitcoin, but actually use different mechanisms, with varying levels of risk, but be able to earn yield on those those savings. So it's almost like having gold. Traditionally having gold sitting in a safe where you're just hoping for price appreciation. There's
Hmm.
nothing more that you can really do with it, and then making that gold, like tokenizing that gold to where you can actually put it on chain and earn with it. So I know it's not a good example or analogy, but because Bitcoin's already digital, but it really was kind of locked down. Any liquidity that was put into Bitcoin, it really was a walled garden.
Yeah. Maybe we can find someone from the team, not from the Discord.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm done going into discords and asking people about their project. Talk about a bunch of freaking degens. Yeah, not this one specifically. Just for the past three, I told you I've gone to the discords and tried to talk to the people and just be like, hey, we're doing a deep dive in your project. We have a good community.
Mhm.
Just kind of want to get some input from you all. Is there anything that we should highlight? And it all the fucking nuts come out. So yeah, I'm done going and asking people about their project.
Oh yeah, good tip, Deadwood. Yeah, keep security tools like Wallet Guard, Scam Sniffer, Pocket Universe.
Wallet
Um,
Guard, my Wallet
oh,
Guard stopped
they
working.
depreciated. Yeah, they depreciated. They shut down. So yeah, Pocket Universe, Scam Sniffer are the
Mhm.
two. Oh, and Revoke.cash.
Yeah, think of all these apps that Jeff's talking about as a condom for your wallet.
Yeah,
It's instead of the condom going in your wallet, it goes on your wallet.
yeah, Pocket Universe, and then Revoke.cash. You can revoke smart contracts that you've granted. Uni.
I'm not quite sure what you're asking, Deadwood. Can we use Uni with our bridges? Uni, or must we put it back on East Network to earn yield? Oh, here we go. Hold
Mm.
on. Can we use it? Oh, with our bridged plume. I know. The plume that's on Plume mainnet, you can only use on platforms that are on the Plume portal. So that's where you want to be operating, right now. But I have a bunch of Plume on ETH mainnet, because that's where the volume is right now. I'm making 190% APR as we speak, on my,
Hmm.
and then I have a bunch over on Plume mainnet too. But it's still very early on, so
Hmm.
it's you just got to kind of do whatever you feels best, for earning.
Oh yeah. Oh, meant to bring this up. Dixie had the question about tokenomics. I haven't seen one about the tokenomics here, and I don't know shit about like the tokenomics usually, the breakdowns and stuff. I don't pay too much attention to that because I know the token price always does crazy shit after it launches. But I was looking at this OP20 standard. So it's equivalent to Ethereum's ERC20 that enables developers to create and manage fungible tokens directly on Bitcoin. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, damn. They got a proof of HODL is a unique staking mechanism where Bitcoin holders lock Bitcoin to earn rewards, all while keeping self-custody. That sounds
Mm,
a little bit sexy. I'd be curious to find out or see when that launches what kind of yield you get from that. And I love that
yeah.
that you still keep custody of your tokens.
Oh, the self custody. Yeah. Very important. Very important.
Yeah, yeah,
And
especially with Bitcoin.
so OPNet has their test net going on, and it's called the break this test net. And they have each week they have a set of tasks for you to complete, executing token swaps, staking certain tokens in liquidity pools, claiming your rewards, I think. Oh no, that was last week. So last week they had some claim your rewards from your liquidity pools, and they give you points. And right now we have 34,000 points. I don't know. They haven't updated the leaderboard, but we're chugging along. So what you need to do to participate is download the OPNet wallet, and you can do it from the Brave browser, Google browser, and it'll look like this. And I have a video where I break down how to set up the wallet and specifically what network, because you have this test net right here, Bitcoin reg test, testnet 4, Signet. So you don't really, you be like, what? I don't know where to go. So I break all that stuff down for you really easily. And you also need a, a Twitter account because you have to verify with your Twitter and follow them and connect your OP wallet. So there are some steps. If you don't have a Twitter account, I don't know if there's any minimum requirements. Some projects require you to have like 10 followers and at least be a month old. So I don't know, test it out, but this is where you log in. Here, I'll log out for everyone to see.
Have you
So
tried Moto Swap or OP Brew?
yeah, yeah, I've been using them.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll get warnings sometimes if websites are new, especially from like in Rabby wallet. It'll show you like a warning. Hey, it's a new website, but yeah, that's why I always make sure that projects that are legit like this, I go from their actual testnet website and not the Twitter sites, just in case it.
Hey,
Because
do you
usually
want
if
to
you're
take
getting
this
it from
question
the,
from
what are
Dixie?
your top 7?
Just do
Yeah,
three. What are your
Monad.
top three?
Um, right now, the Matrix AI testnet is one. Um,
He's looking at his dry erase board. All
yeah,
he's not
I
talking to God.
got a dry erase board right here with all my stuff on it. Um, yeah, the Matrix, Pharaoh's testnet, and these Bitcoin ones. This and Ducat. I'm going pretty hard on. So yeah. So this, you'll see your wallet once you log in. You can get testnet Bitcoin, which will take you to the OPNet faucet. And what you want to do is once you get your wallet set up, see account right here, copy your wallet address, and you will paste it and do a little CAPTCHA. Make sure you're a human being, not a robot, unless you're super advanced. You claim your Bitcoin testnet tokens, and I don't know. Yeah, I claimed mine yesterday. So you every 24 hours. So I need to wait a few more hours since I was doing this yesterday afternoon before before the time ran out because I needed to rack up some points before the timer reset. So once you have your testnet tokens in your wallet, you'll see a little bit right here, this TBTC. Oh yeah, and also don't forget, go here to OP20 tokens and you claim your 1,000 pill tokens, which you will need in MotoSwap. Like Mike was mentioning earlier, the Moto swaps. And you do need this TBTC in order to make the transactions on the network. And I can also send people some, just jump in the Discord, mine the DCA Discord, whatever. I had somebody reach out to me last week asking for testnet tokens because they couldn't access it, and I sent them some.
I know I needed some for one, then you helped me out.
Yeah, we'll get you hooked up. Now, all this stuff, executing swaps in MotoSwap, you go up here to utilities, and MotoSwap is right here. And this is where pretty much most of the magic, or all the magic, happens.
That's what she said.
Yeah, these tasks do reset after a week. So you have to execute up to 50 swaps, 50 token swaps. And what else? Oh, this is testnet Bitcoin token swaps. And then execute up to 30 OP token swaps to Bitcoin. So they tell you what to do. Stake PIL and Moto tokens in the liquidity pool. Stake TBTC. And I break down all this stuff in the... Now, I'll do an updated weekly video on these because sometimes these tasks change. So I'll put out an updated pre-recorded breakdown so I can dive into these a little bit more thoroughly. But starting out, swapping these tokens on MotoSwap, and we'll go here, make sure that, go to connect your wallet, your OP wallet, and right here, if you don't know how to swap tokens, this is the sell and buy. What are we swapping? Swap BT1 to Moto. Pretty easy. BT1. What do we want? Some Moto. Now, if you're starting this out, you will not have BT1 or Moto tokens. You will just have the PIL token. So what you want to do is swap from PIL to BT1. And you just do 10 tokens because you'll get 1,000 PIL. And swap. And then once you have your BT1, then you can swap into your Moto. And then you can stake the Moto and then add to the liquidity pool. And we'll swap into Moto just so you see how to do it. And if BT1 does not show up in this search menu, go back here and click BT1 right here. It will copy the contract address. And you go here and you paste it and you see BT1. So if you're lost, there you go. You have now been found. All right, we'll swap into some Moto. That way we get that transaction to count for our points. And I really haven't seen a lot of people shouting about this testnet. So which is a good sign for rewards. Like if these underutilized or underappreciated testnets, you could really put yourself in a good, like Ducat, these incentivized ones that, you never know if you can get a good Bitcoin airdrop, man, that would be some fucking amazing free money. Okay, we swapped into Moto. Now we'll stake some. So we'll go over here to the stake feature. And it shows your balance, how much you have staked. I do have some rewards to accumulate, or that I've accumulated. I'll stake one Moto here. Oh, and if you get errors, usually test nets, you'll run into some errors now and then, but just give it a refresh. You sometimes disconnect and reconnect your wallet will help. But I know on the Ducat testnet, I do get errors quite often, but I just refresh the page and do all that stuff, and it works. So there you go. See, now it works. Sometimes it just takes a little refresh. And if you want to view your transactions, they have the OP scan right here and the mempool. So this is the blockchain transaction. It doesn't exist yet, so we'll wait for that. And then let's see if we can get some of these to verify. See if we can get some points. And I'll show a couple more things because I have a hard stop at 1 because I'm on lunch. Unfortunately, I have to go into the office today because I have Friday off for 4th of July.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, they make us go in 4 days a week, and today's my work from home day. But they're like, oh, if we have a day off due to holiday, you have to come in your work from home day. But it's the price we pay for our day jobs. But see, there we go. We've got the one completed task right here. So what else? Our staking, we're waiting for that. Adding liquidity. Here they have the pools. And a lot of you, hopefully by now, are getting to be DeFi experts. You can view your position and add liquidity. So you can add them. And I think each week it resets. Because I just started this last week after I covered it on my channel. So let me see. Yeah, add liquidity right here. You want to do Moto and Pill and add liquidity. So you want to do Pill and Moto, add a certain amount, can be any amount. And then you want to do the same with BT1 and Moto. So 2 separate liquidity pools that you'll create. And this Pill Moto is a liquidity pool token that you'll take on this farm. So there's a lot, it goes even deeper. Like there's farming your liquidity pool tokens over here at Moto Chef, which is even a little bit more degen. So you can stake your liquidity pool tokens here and earn 900% APY on your Moto. So all of these tasks, pretty easy to complete. See, our token swaps from earlier are counting towards our 50. But I would really get on this. Jump in our Discord, and you can interact with me directly, a lot easier with any questions that you have. And I can help walk you through setting up the wallet, getting testnet tokens, all that stuff. But don't fade some of these test nets, especially with the Bitcoin. If they're incentivized on the Bitcoin network, I don't know. I just it's free to participate in. Just toss a little bit of your time, but I would much rather get a free airdrop for my time than have to invest my own money for potential. But yeah, if you don't have a lot to invest in, this is a perfect thing for you.
Well, and that plays into what we talked about, for a while now, where you have our channel wallet and your farming airdrops,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to be doing DeFi, just to kind of reemphasize what that's all about. Is we did an episode where we were talking about where you don't need to have money to get involved in crypto.
Mm-hmm.
You can farm these airdrops and earn free tokens and use that, sell those or potentially use them in DeFi to earn more and just, rinse and repeat. You earn through airdrops, use that as liquidity for your DeFi portfolio and grow a portfolio with zero of your own money. I know that Jeff, he's made a bunch of free money off of airdrops, just airdrops. And then I've made a bunch of free money in DeFi. So, there are ways that you can do this. Is it going to take longer? Absolutely. Is it going to take more work? Absolutely. But if you're willing to put in the work, then, that's what, DeFi and what, a lot of things are about is, are you willing to do what other people aren't to have what other people don't? Back to what I said at the very beginning, you can do what everyone else is doing. You can get up every morning, go to a job, collect a paycheck, spend that paycheck, get into debt, and hopefully one day retire, buy a house, have, 1.5 kids or whatever the number is now, or you can think outside the box. You can look for ways to change your stars, to improve your situation. You're never going to get ahead in life if you just do what the masses do. You have to blaze your own trail. And this is just one of many ways that you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Dixie. I don't know anything about the nodes, so I'm not too sure about that. I'll look more into that. Um, but yeah, and also the
So Dixie,
oh.
as far as picking a project, usually Jeff, for these shows that we do together, I let Jeff pick them because he is great at sniffing out these early projects, not just for the farming and airdrops and things like that, but Plume. Plume was one that Jeff, turned me on to. There's been a couple of projects, SXT, Space and Time, there's one that Josh over Discover Crypto. So it's really just being a part of a
Mhm.
good community of people that are subject matter experts in their own right. So, again, Jeff is, kind of my airdrop guru. And then we have, Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement. We got Drew over there. We got, TJ over at DC. We got DZ. We got Josh. We got Isaac. There's just so many people that we interact with. And in the Discord, just with the communities, people will bring up like Dixie. Dixie brought up, you know, uh, I think it was Dixie that brought up Portal to Bitcoin.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
let
Yeah.
me share this real quick. Yeah. Somebody right before we went live was talking to me about this and saying, hey, you might want to take a look at this. And it's another, Bitcoin native project that
Mhm.
is that, I haven't looked into it all yet, but we will probably do a deep dive on it later on, here in the next couple weeks. But yeah, let me do a deep dive on it. But that's really how we pick them is just, whenever we run into an interesting project that's doing something unique. We don't just want to do deep dives on just any and all projects. We want to make sure that we're bringing value. So, and obviously we're a little biased towards airdrops and DeFi. So a lot of the stuff that we touch on is going to have ties to one of those. But that's our niche. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I haven't seen much on the backing or anything. Um, and another thing I look at is like who's following them on their socials, how long they've been around, and
Mhm.
you see some of these projects that will kind of rebrand or have a facelift or they just launched recently, but kind of looking at this and seeing what they're building out and the the people talking about it, um, it's good to see. So I'm really interested. Also, CryptoRank.io, Dixie, CryptoRank.io. They have a great place where you can find projects that are launching. They have a drop, like an
Ooh,
airdrop hunting.
is ETH
Um,
is ETH pumping right now? It looks like it's gone up $83 since we went live, but
mm,
no, but yeah, I mean, what Jeff was just talking about, it's kind of how he looks for airdrops. Me personally, I look at fundamentals. I don't look at prices. When it comes to a project, I look at fundamentals because price is, as you know, all over the place. And if you chase prices and let price
mhm.
dictate when you get in and out of a project, you're going to get wrecked. So, it's community like Jeff was talking about is huge. The amount of following they have on socials, how engaged the community is, how passionate they are, all really good indicators
Well, and what are
of
they building?
what
Are
are
they
they
building
building.
something that is
That goes
legit,
more
not
into
just a layer two?
that goes more into fundamentals, but
Yeah.
what you were talking about is more like early on, basically
Mm,
community, socials, how engaged everybody is, how passionate they are about it. That's a good indicator if it's a solid project or not. But then, like Jeff said, you can start diving into fundamentals. Who's funding it? Who are their backers? What are the tokenomics like? Is the team is fully doxed? What is, look into each of those individuals, the CEO and the CTO and things like that. What past projects or
mhm.
companies have they worked for? What did they do at those companies? Were they successful? Did those companies fail? A lot of things go into, fundamentals and understanding, and then not getting emotionally attached to a project. Like, XRP is a perfect example of that. And I say this from a place of just genuine concern for people. And I'll end with this because I know you got to
Mhm.
go. I want to get your final thoughts.
Oh shit.
But XRP is, through the bear market, I held it. I was a top 3% holder of XRP. I had almost 40,000 tokens. I sold all my XRP and got into Arrow, Plume, and some other projects because the fundamentals of XRP changed. There is no reason for a high value XRP anymore. They added RLUSD, their stablecoin, and USDC to the XRP ledger. That is a fundamental change. It used to be only XRP could move value on the XRPL. Now you have stablecoins. Ripple did that because banks and institutions don't want to use a volatile asset to move liquidity. They will potentially lose money in the transaction. You have to understand these things. So, anyway, I'll end with that.
Mhm.
What do you got for closing thoughts?
No, take advantage of this stuff. Don't be afraid to get some skin in the game with these test nets and learn how to use the protocol, learn what crypto is and how to use it, and get familiar with it, because it is the future. Don't sit there like your grandma did in the 90s, or your mom and dad did in the 90s, that, oh, this computer stuff, it's just a fad. And a lot of people I know that are in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, that are just can't work with technology at all. And it's really hindered them in a lot of ways. So, get in here, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. No question is too stupid in this space. I've seen some pretty wild ones. So,
The only stupid question is the question unasked.
yeah, jump in the Discord, but all the links, all the stuff down below. But we appreciate you all for joining us today.
All right. Well, food is life. Deadwood, Dixie, Granny,
All the
hippie
homies.
holder. Who else we got? Oh,
Cherrywell.
yeah. Everybody in the chat, we appreciate you. We love you.
Hey.
Thanks for taking the time and to join us live. You make it all worth it. And till next time,
Yes.
Veteran Crypto out.
Peace.